Faylor, and we are going to talk about the exciting world of ads. We're going to talk about wish lists and how you get wish lists with your ads. And I've got some other good questions too. So yes, back to back to back to back. Jay, did you want to jump in here? Is that what you're doing? No. Okay. So Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself. I know we have this right here. So
yeah. So my name's Chris Faylor. I'm the founder of a website called vgReleaseList that aggregates release dates for major releases so that you don't have to track every single one of them, so that you as an indie developer can just say, hey, what's my competitive release calendar look like? What should I be avoiding? When's a good time to release? Anyways, I got my start marketing video games in 2010. I'm just going to keep going. And I've worked with games and creators you've probably heard of before. I was at Gearbox Software for the release of Borderlands 2 as community manager. I helped bring Homeworld Remastered Collection back into the world after THQ went bankrupt. I worked with Squanch Games for the launch of Trover Saves the Universe, which was created by Justin Roiland. And most recently, I've been working with the team at Hoku Games and Gearbox Publishing on Risk of Rain 2.
Oh, today, I applied for that job on Trover Saves the Universe.
Did you really?
Yes, I did. Yeah, way before the release. They were looking for a community manager. But go ahead, it's fine.
I should clarify. I was community manager on Borderlands 2. I was product manager on Trover and Homeworld.
Oh, okay. So you were the one that took my job.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine.
But the point of what I'm trying to say is I've gone through the entire spectrum of marketing, from beginning of community management all the way through advertising and marketing. Just going to keep saying those words. So I've seen a lot in these last 11 years. And before that, I was press. I was doing previews. I was working with our audience at Shack News, which shout out for anybody who remembers Steve's Scary Shack. All right. So today we're here to talk about ads. And we're here to talk specifically how to use advertising to grow your community and your wish list. Now, a lot of people think that ads are just for selling. But in reality, advertising is about inspiring an action. Sometimes that action is simply awareness. Sometimes that action is following a social media account. Sometimes it's purchasing. Sometimes it's visiting a website. So there's a lot of different use cases for advertising and paid advertising beyond simply selling a product. And where it gets really interesting is when it comes to the targeting and the demographics you can pull out of that as an indie developer. Because you're going to want to know everything you can about your audience. So you're already using your Google Analytics. You're already digging into your demographic data. You're already looking at your Steam page to see where the traffic's coming from. So you've got a great idea, but how are you reaching new customers? How are you making people aware of your game before it comes out? And how are you finding them? That's one of the hardest things, finding them. So today what I wanted to do was run everybody through a couple setups, show you what the Twitter ad backend looks like, show you what the Facebook ad backend looked like, make up a mock campaign, and then take any questions you might have and go from there. How's that sound for you, Dan?
I think that is going to work perfect. That's going to work perfect. So yeah, you can bring up your thing and I'll pull it up on the screen. And then, so yeah, one of the things that we were talking about earlier, I'm a broadcaster, right? So do these kind of ads, it's the same principle basically, right? Just a little different, right?
Right. So what you'll see as we go into each of these different advertising backends is there's some platform specific stuff, but there's a lot of broad demographic and topic interests that are going to be shared across all of your ads, be they Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, Twitch, Reddit, so many different platforms, so many different permutations to go. but we'll cover the basics today. And then please feel free to reach out to me on Discord or through my email later on if you would like to discuss any of this further later on. All right. So let's just go ahead, pretend we're first time setting up Facebook ads. This is what you see when you first log in. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. And immediately we'll be prompted with several choices. So first is awareness. You've got two choices, brand awareness or reach. And these are really key choices. The difference between these is brand awareness is showing your ads to people who are most likely to remember them. So these, you're going for quality over quantity. Reach.
Right, but those are more like there's not really call to actions in brand awareness ones, right? Like you see for Geico, for example, they just want their logo everywhere so people can be aware of it, right?
Right. So what's great about this is the next thing we're going to talk about is what your hook is. So let's go right into it and see what are you trying to get out of this. Now, this is where things are going to differ by platform, but by and large, the phrasing is going to be the same. There's traffic. So, do you want people to click on a link and go to a website? Do you want engagement, which is getting more likes, getting, action on your page? Maybe you're a mobile developer and you want app installs. Maybe you're doing video ads. Perhaps you are soliciting for a survey and you want people to answer a form, or you want people to directly message you on Facebook Messenger. These are the different calls to action that these ads are set up to have. And the way that you can target this further is, what are you looking to get out of this, right? So are you looking to convert somebody? Are you looking to have them take that desired action? Do you want, this is a little different than probably doesn't apply on this scene, but I've seen people use ads very creatively, so it's always worth mentioning. There is catalog sales, which is, typically if you were running an Etsy shop and you were trying to show people your different wares. But somebody might be able to make a really cool ARPG out of that. I don't know. And last is physical stores, which doesn't apply here. So let's go ahead, kick things off. Let's do brand awareness. Show people the ads who are most likely to remember them. Let's try to engage them. Let's try to get them to like our social media account. And let's target the conversion. Ooh.
Well, when you clicked engagement, they had something you had to fill out down there.
Actually, you know what? I messed up, Dan, and I will own up to it right now. These are all the different objectives that you can do, categorized into 3 different buckets. Mm-hmm. So are you trying to reach the most amount of people? Are you trying to just create that brand awareness so people think, so you're on the tip of their mouth or tip of their tongues? Are you trying to drive website traffic to get people to think about your product? Or are you trying to convert them? Now, conversion is really good when you're selling a product. Once you release, once you launch, you want to drive conversion sales. But up until that launch, you want to really think about what you want to get out of this and choose. Let's go with engagement for right now, but a lot of different pros and cons to all of these different things, also depending on what you're trying to do. Reach would be great if you're trying to populate your Discord, for example. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead, because we want to talk about social media and because we want to talk about wish lists, we're going to choose engagement. And the other thing I'm going to mention about ads that's really important before we dive in any further, what you really need to consider here. I completely lost my train of thought. Happy Friday, Dan.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So what you need to consider here is the amount of times you're going to touch this customer. In all honesty, you're going to get them once, right? If you're sending them an ad, unless you're retargeting them, you're likely to only get them once. So you've got to make sure that that touch point, whenever you connect with them, be it an ad, be it a tweet, be it a YouTube video, you want to make sure that you're making the most of that opportunity.
Right.
So
hit them good.
We're talking about goals. So if you're launching a game, you want to sell that game. If you're wanting social media followers or wish lists, something slightly different. But same thing, right? Across all of those, you're only going to get one chance, maybe across all of those categories. So what do you do and when do you do it? The trick is if you engage somebody into your community and they opt into following you on social media or they opt into your Discord, you've created an evangelist. You've created somebody who says, yes, please tell me everything.
Yeah, because then you can have more chances to tell them stuff. Right.
Bingo. So that's why early on you want to target that initial conversion of Steam wish list if you're really trying to bump up your numbers, community, both, or using community to drive wish list or wish list to drive community. You can.
Right. That's awesome. So you want to answer a couple questions real quick?
Yeah, let's go into it.
Sharky Shark from YouTube says, would backing on Kickstarter be considered a conversion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's hard. You're going to run into some fun stuff here and there. But really what you're talking about is people are spending money.
Right.
And when so that would be the divide between engagement, traffic, and conversion. Two of them, you're generating interest, traffic, engagement, you're grabbing them, but conversion is when you're actually trying to get the money out of them.
Right. Okay, here we go. From John White. Still no way to track conversions for Steam purchases or wish lists?
It's getting better. Actually, there are wish list conversion numbers that you can see through Valve in the back end. You can, and some of the data that you can get is like, hey, what is the conversion of people who visited this page total? But you lose a lot of data. There's not as much data as you'd like there. And it's Valve recently just added UTM tracking, which adds another layer of this. So theoretically, what I can do is say, hey, website, that here's a little bit of extra stuff to put in the link for my ad. So I know which of my ads actually converted into a visit or into a sale. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of math there. Not all the numbers are extremely clear. That's one of the really fun things that we'll get into later on when we're looking at the results for ads. But hey, one other great thing we should cover immediately that's just coming to mind is, depending on how you approach this, you might receive some emails from Google, or you might receive some emails from Twitter prompting you to say like, hey, you've got a free consultation, you've got $150 in ad credit, trying to get you back or trying to incentivize you to use their services. It's great to talk to them. It's great to get their insight, but take it with a little grain of salt, because ultimately they're employees of the advertising company, and
trying to get you to spend money
exists to make money.
Mm-hmm. But it is nice to get a little notification saying you have $150 in LinkedIn ads. You're like, yes,
right.
I'll take it.
So definitely take them up on that advice to learn what some of the conversion rates are, to learn a little bit more about how the platform works, but be really careful giving them control of the budget, either directly or indirectly.
Okay, that's good advice. Oh, one more question, then I'll let you get back to it. Ilmatic says, are we going to get into other ad platforms besides Facebook?
I will be showing Twitter as well.
All right.
So if there's a specific platform you'd like, I can try to do it live and pull it up. If not, I can at least speak to what some of the information would be about.
All right. So yeah, if you guys post questions right now, if it's relevant to what we're talking about, I'll bring it up right away. If it's a tangent or whatever, just to not break up his flow, we can get to it later on. But yeah, post your questions away with what he's doing. If you got any questions about anything, and then we'll just bring it up and go over it just like this.
Great. So let's jump back into the Facebook backend. We've decided that we want to have an ad that focuses on engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to create that community on the platform that we're advertising. So Facebook offers a couple different further targeting options already. What do we want to target? Do we want to target responses to an event? Nah, that's probably not us. Unless you're running a live stream or some sort of indie game business multi-day panel. Dan didn't take my bait there.
No, go ahead. So, I'm sorry, I was reading. I have to sort things in the back end here while you're doing stuff. So
no worries, sir.
Now, what was it? Say it again.
Oh, I was saying, hey, event responses probably aren't super relevant for indie devs unless you're running an indie dev conference.
Right. Okay.
Likes here are, of course, getting more likes on the page overall so that you can really further target them and, reach them over and over again. Or you might have a specific post that you want to put up. This might be your announcement post. This might be your launch trailer post. It could be like a cool behind the scenes photo from PAX. You never know. A lot of different things. What post engagement is typically used for is when people see that they've got a social media post that's performing really well, you can use post engagement to boost that visibility further. So if you know something's hot and you want to see more of that, post engagement is the way to go. But for today's purposes of growing our community, we're going to choose page likes.
Okay, wait, let me ask you a question about that. So if your post is doing something in the algorithm is like spiking that up. So doing post engagement just kind of boosts that, right?
Right. So, let's say a great example of this would be, let's say you've got 200 people on your Facebook page and you're posting every couple days. Most of your posts average 5-10 likes, couple comments. And then you make one post that really gives it some new insight into the game. And you get you've got 50 comments. You've got 150 likes. That's already starting to spread outside of your social media account, like immediate social media reach. People are obviously sharing that and it's getting out wider. So, hey, if you've got something that's sticky and converting people and generating their interest, that makes a great ad. So post engagement is almost like natively, yeah, this is doing really great. Go ahead. All right, back to it. So we're focusing on page likes. I'm going to name the campaign Indie Game Business just for fun. We'll name the first ad set as ad set 1. And we'll call the ads add creative settings. Don't do what I do and name them all the same thing, thinking that they're going to be in completely different menus. They're not. They're going to appear side by side, and it's going to be really confusing if everything is called game ad 1 or game ads.
So you want to definitely use some exact definition in your stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every single field, not just one of them, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And we're about to get into the really fun stuff. So you see, they already prompted me to say like, hey, we've got some new information for you. Hey, like suggested ways to spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, special ad categories. This doesn't apply. This is for credit cards, job offers, housing, but really worth me letting you know that you don't have to dive into it. Campaign details. This is where we're starting to get into the nitty gritty. We're talking about the way that you're purchasing ads. So let's go ahead and look at our options. Right now, we just have options. The different objectives that you have can bring in different types. But for right now, we've got option. So whoever has the highest bid for each website or for the ad will win. So, and so you can set what you want to do, and I will walk you through that. Another cool thing here is an A/B test. This is an option for you that is really great at not just giving you insight into your community, but into the way that people perceive and react to different creatives. So you can use A/B. If you've got two different versions of your logo and you don't know which one is going to draw the eye better and you're stuck, run an A/B test. You could even, an enterprising ad manager could also use an A/B test to just figure out which of these different ad sets are even going to are worth pursuing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, here's an ad that's focused on concept art. Here's an ad that's focused on screenshots. Here's an ad that's focused on the story.
And you should kind of be doing that anyways, right? I mean, before that, when I would do ads for a company, they'd be like, okay, here's the budget. And it's like, okay, well, let's take some of it and do this, and some of it and do this, and some of it and do this, and see what one will work best. So it's basically A/B testing. But I like that there's just a boop you can click right now.
Yep. And campaign budget optimization, very high level. It's letting you spend across multiple ad sets. So it's a higher level than you might have normally, where it's just saying, hey, whatever's working best, we're going to use that ad set and route the most money to it. Sometimes you want that. Sometimes you don't, because you're running entirely different ad sets with entirely separate objectives. Here we are in ad set 1. Let's advertise for vgReleaseList. We're looking at page likes. So here is where you start to set some of the cost control. What I'm saying, what Facebook is saying here is, we'll aim to spend your entire budget and get the most page likes using the lowest cost bid strategy. But if you want to name an upper limit as to how much we spend per ad, do it. Now, where this gets really useful is if you figured out your conversion rates, and you can actually start to put a price to how many to somebody joining your community, or somebody joining somebody joining a wish list, and then converting into a full sale. Each of those you can approximate.
Then that also helps with you later on when you come up with your CPA, cost per acquisition.
Right. It's exactly the same as CPA, just using.
But it's beforehand, right?
Right, but using a different set of metrics, because you don't have the conversion of the sale to go from. Right. Now, the other thing you don't have, Wishlist. Steam is great about sharing data on Wishlist. Steam is great about showing you data on Wishlist. They've said publicly that it's an average of 13% conversion. If you dig into the numbers and you really jump into it, there's a lot of different variants between launch window and the totality of your first year. But we know what the average conversion rate on Steam is, and it's a 13% conversion rate on your wish list. So you can work backwards from that and say, okay, if 13% of the people on my wish list are doing it, how many people on my social media page are going to convert?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what a cool way to track that would be? To run an advertising campaign specifically targeted at Wishlist, specifically targeted at an audience, use a UTM referral code so that you can track the results. And within Steam, you'll be able to actually see, oh man, this converted into at least a visit. And based on, then you go to a different tab and look, that day I had this many wish lists. Map it out across enough days, you can start to gently tell when something's above the norm. So you can, it's not direct conversion tracking, but if you're willing to put in the work, it's there.
Okay, we have questions, but I'll wait until after this ad is created because, I mean, that while they are relevant, they're not relevant to directly what we're talking about right this second.
Right.
So they can get answered after this. So we'll finish the Facebook ad and then we'll get to all the questions. I see all them questions. Don't think I don't see them, you guys.
Now I'm excited, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got two other things to cover very quickly. One is going to be complicated, one isn't. The not complicated one is budget and schedule. How much are you willing to spend and when are you willing to spend it? Do you want to spend $25 a day? Do you want to spend $25 across the lifetime of this campaign? When do you want it to start? When do you want it to stop? Ooh, now this is where it gets interesting.
This is the fun stuff right here.
This is where you really start to get into it. So you're going to be using any of the demographic data you already have through Steam, already have through Google Analytics, to at least know, hey, this is where my community is. This is where it's resonated. So where are they living? What is their age? What is their gender? And by the way, this is where it gets tricky in terms of cost, because your immediate reaction is, oh, I want to put as much information in as I can. The more targeting you do, the more expensive the bid is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, Dan, what's a game you've been playing lately?
Children of Morta.
No.
Okay, Neon Abyss.
Oh no, I was saying about my the way I was typing this.
Okay. No results found for my games.
Let's go wide for a second.
Okay.
There we go. Let's start in video games.
Okay, let's do some role playing. Okay, just video games sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, now here's a great question for you. What language should we target?
Well, let's just target English right now.
Right, and you know why you would want to target specifically English at the first go?
Why is that?
Because it limits some of the spend. What I've seen before is ads that get shown a lot, but they get shown to the totally wrong audience because of some slight misconfiguration here. So if I didn't click English, there's a possibility that all my ads could be served at 6 a.m. to somebody in France.
Right. And that sucks.
Yeah. Let's see. Languages is
Pig Latin.
Let's see. Connections. All right. Here's another one. Where it gets really interesting. People who, what are some additional factors you can use to find people? People who like or follow your page. So you already targeting people who are similar to that. Or maybe you want to make sure that you're not even people who are already on your Facebook page don't see the ad.
Can you select multiple ones of those just out of curiosity? Like exclude your page, but people that like your page? Or you can only do one at a time?
You can only do one at a time here. Wait, there's more. You can do some advanced stuff here, Dan. So it's fun to jump into.
So like if somebody, for example, had a game that was like Call of Duty, you could be like, I want to target the people who like Call of Duty's Facebook page or whatever, right?
So this is the start. In this option, you can only target, for this particular ad set, this particular option where we're at right now, you could only target pages you control for that level of detail. But
later down into it, right now we're reaching 10 people. Bam! It's a mighty spend. Well, greater than.
So we're gonna kill the custom audience. Yeah. All right. Automatic placements or manual placements. Where are we going to show the ad? What this means is really nitty gritty. And hey, we're at the halfway mark. So I'm going to speed this up a little.
Wow, that really, you can break it down to Facebook video feed, right column, explore, shop. Oh, man.
Yeah. And look, this is just one example. Imagine what something like Snapchat or TikTok is like.
Right.
So
that's insane. Show more
options. Let's say I've got a game and I know that only Apple users care, or I've got
only mobile devices, only if they're connected to Wi-Fi.
Yep.
Wow.
So, and a lot of this has changed in the last few years in terms of targeting because of a lot of data compliance, and it's going to continue to change. Cookies, do not track. It's really shifted the landscape a little bit in the way that you can target. It used to be a little bit easier, like you were saying, Dan, to be like, hey, grab people that like Call of Duty and show them my ad. You can still approximate that audience, but it's a little harder. Ad creative settings is going to be, I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, even though you will. This is where you actually upload your images. This is where you enter your text. This is where you
design the ad.
Perfect. Yeah, this is where you'll update it. This is where you want to put some, if you want to track, if you've got stuff in your event or a pixel code on your website.
One of the high level things I'm getting from you is when you are creating your ad, don't skip things. Look at what they are, read about it, look at all the options and check everything out, right? Because there's so many options, right? Don't skip stuff and just go, oh, I wanted this and this and this, because who knows what'll happen.
And don't think it's static. You know, this is constantly shifting. This interface is different than the last time I used it, and the next time I use it, it'll be different again. Everything is constantly evolving because advertising is in itself an arms race. So once you catch up, you're already behind. You want to take a minute for questions, and then we can jump onto Twitter?
Sure. Well, I imagine it's going to be more than a minute, but so here we go. We'll go up to this screen right here. For indie games, which platform have you seen to yield the best conversions?
Oh, that's a hard one. What I can say I haven't seen a lot of conversion on necessarily is Instagram. Unless you've got a really art-heavy, like Instagram-worthy game. Really, it's a lot of different stuff. It's, do you have an existing community, and if so, where? Right? Like, are you trying to grow Reddit, for example? If you're trying to grow Reddit, advertise on Reddit. If you're trying to grow Facebook, advertise on Facebook. So you've got a little bit of that to go on. Other than that, it really just depends on the title and some of the appeal. I know that's not the most satisfying answer, but what I would target, if if you're thinking about this from a very high level and you're blank slating it, go with the largest potential audience.
Mm. Right on. Okay, here's a good one. Illmatic. I have recently published my small little indie puzzle game on Steam. Probably the worst genre for it. What kind of games are best for indies and what's easy to market?
So this is a fun one because, hey, the answer changes every few years.
It depends. Right?
You know, back before Minecraft came out, I would have never said Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
But what I can say is the games that convert best are the ones that can play to the platform's strengths. And that's not necessarily on your game, that's on your creative approach to advertising. So what I mean by that is you could have the most beautiful art style, Instagram worthy game in the world, but if your ads are all focused on story and don't provide that beauty that you're talking about, it's not going to grab anybody. Different genres spike at different times. It's a cycle. We're going to keep seeing this over and over again. Again, I would say look at some, if you're trying to make a multiplayer game, well, look at concurrent player data, try and draw some conclusions from competitors that are close to you, or what you want to aspire towards. If you're a single player game, I think one of the things to do is just follow your heart. Unfortunately, what I can say is like, hey, really it's putting what kind of game should I make to best suit advertising is putting the cart before the horse, in my opinion. What it should be, advertising should take something that's already there and magnify it. So advertising exists to make your product shine. So if your product shines in 20 different ways, how does that convert into ads? Actually, let me restart that entire answer. I am so sorry. People follow connection and people follow what's genuine. So, like I mentioned with Minecraft, what you see a lot is paradigm shifts because of passion, because of quality, because somebody saw an underserved audience and went for it. So, to me, and this is just my personal advice, this isn't necessarily the best budget advice, but if follow your heart, make the game you want to make, find that audience, create that audience, and go from there. Building the audience is the hardest part. Proving a concept that has not yet been cracked is extremely difficult, but it's so worth it. How many games were called looter shooters 15 years ago?
Right. For sure. That's good advice. Okay, Hitoshi Kano, the infamous Hitoshi, in the house. Sorry if it's a little harsh, but are ads useful to gathering true fans to your game? Wouldn't most players be put off by a sponsored ad? What platforms are most effective for these kind of ads?
Great question. And again, let's dive back into the pillars of your game. So you're a competitive, you're a side-scrolling platformer. Advertising to people that like Call of Duty, not necessarily the best move, right? So what I'm getting out of your question is, first you're asking, hey, am I getting true fans? And second, doesn't advertising actually hurt? The emotion is going to be yes, the data is going to prove you wrong. The data is going to show that you're going to, that while ads might not be useful for garnering organic fans, the people that are there can be just as valuable and big of fans as the people that joined organically. If you really think about it, and we talk about conventions, we talk about PAX. What is PAX if not just blatant advertising?
Mm-hmm. That's what the whole thing is.
Right? It's creating awareness. It's getting people to look at your game, engage with it in that form. It's playing it or watching the trailer or visiting your booth. So you can find fans where you want, where it's going to be, where you're going to see the most return is when you target what your audience, where your pillars are. For example, if you are a strategy game, you might want to target, you would target fans of your competitors. So if you are a sci-fi RTS, you target StarCraft.
Right. That makes sense. Let's see here.
Oh, one other thing is like, hey, it also depends on where you advertise again. So if you've got a super hardcore title, let's say you've got a Souls-like, like really die hard, super hardcore, casual players and people on Facebook might bounce right off that. That might be better suited for the more niche audiences of, your Reset Era, your NeoGAF, or your specific gaming subreddits.
Right. Jay Powell responds, Satoshi Kano, if it didn't work, we wouldn't see so many publishers doing it. Boop, 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 boop. I mean, that's an answer. All right, here we go. Sharky Shark, is there a recommended baseline cost control when you have a very tiny budget for ads?
The way I would set it is do a very small spend your first day.
Mm-hmm.
Like run a 2 or 3 day campaign at a really, really small rate, and then you're going to get a limited amount of data back, but it's going to show you, okay, like you paid 10, you might have only served an ad to 10 people, but you served it at 10 cents or you served it at 5 cents. Use that to do a temperature check, to be like, hey, do I have the budget for this? How should I be setting my budget here? What I'll say is community and wish lists are marathons. They're not sprints. There are parts where they spike, announce, release date, and launch day, but you want to, the typical advice is keep posting, keep doing this. So if you've got ads and you've got a little budget and you can say like $5 a day or $10 a day for 3 or 4 days, see what you can get out of it. A little data is going to be better than no data at all.
That makes sense.
And what you'll see, and I'm almost hesitant to, it's almost a bummer that we're only going to spend such a short amount of time on it. But Dan, can you flip back to my screen for a second? I want to show some advertising results.
All right. I'm going to ask this one last question real quick. What platforms would you recommend for a game that has no community?
I would look at what similar games resonated. So if you are a roguelike, I would look at Neon Abyss. I would look at any other, I would look at Dead Cells. I would look at Hades is a very atypical example, but it's a great one. Where are their communities centered? Is there a common factor there? And then that's a potential audience for you. Mm-hmm. So start with the largest potential audience you can, and the potential audience is going to vary based on your game and what already exists. All right. So there are so many different ways that you are going to see ads results. And unfortunately, I can't share most of the ones that I've worked on. But what I can share is this older campaign that I ran for vgReleaseList. And this, by the way, is where you can tell within the initial results here when I learned to target English only.
Yeah. Can you zoom that up a little bit? It's even
Sure.
hard for me to see it. There we go.
Sure. So what I had, as I was watching the ads, I realized, wait, why am I serving French ads? Why am I serving Chinese? These aren't converting. These are costing me, these are eating up a lot of my budget. And so you see that English was then targeted by one ad group. But this is the danger, not the danger, but this is the part where you really have to dive in, and you can't just take it at surface value. You have to get into the numbers to really pull any meaningful data out of this. And what I mean is like, hey, maybe I ran a campaign once where I was targeting cute things. I was targeting families, and I spent the majority of my budget targeting people that liked dogs by accident. When I looked at the numbers afterwards, the one component that they all had in common was they liked dogs. So the algorithms took all my input, chewed it up, and said, well, dogs. We'll do dogs for this website. It wasn't a dog website. But let's see. Just want to show you what a different backend looks like. So, hey, here's same buckets that we had before: awareness, consideration, conversion. But Twitter's got a different approach because it's Twitter. So you're going to maximize your ads reach. Do you want people to watch the video? Do you want to pair your ad? Do you want to be a pre-roll video before like really high-end stuff? Do you want installs? Do you want website clicks? Do you want people to engage with the tweet, respond, like, retweet? Do you want followers? Do you want people to take action in your app? Again, not super relevant to this, but somebody might be really creative someday. Let's go ahead and choose followers. All right. So we'll start at the base. Exact same stuff you've seen before, where you can set your budget, what our objective is. Ad group details are where it starts to get fun. All right. Bid strategy. Remember when it was auction before on Facebook? Totally different here. So I can either auto bid, which is auction, essentially, or target cost, which is I know how much a follower is worth to me. So I would do this. That's what you're saying. And you can pay here. You can pay by follower, but you could imagine if you were running a video campaign, you might watch by, pay by views, pay by awareness. It just depends on what you want to target. If you want to incorporate Google Campaign Manager or any audience measurement factors in there, this is where you would do it. Demographics are by and large the same. Hey, look, we can also target devices like we were talking about before. We can even target specific models of device, and we can go by carrier.
Wow.
Heck, we can even target people who are using Twitter for a first time on a new device. Custom audiences. I'm going to see if there's anything fun here. No, I don't have any custom audiences. So this is where you would, if you had already done an ad set, if you'd already gone through this whole process and filled all this out, you could save off a lot of that data and bring it back so you don't have to fill it out again. But targeting features, okay. So here's where things get really fun. And I mean that sincerely. So do you want to target keywords? Do you want to target somebody that said, I don't know, Call of Duty? Do you want to target people who are followers? So follower lookalikes are people who are like, you would say, hey, I really want, this is the biggest StarCraft fan I know. I'm going to target him. Please talk to people like him.
Right.
So what a great thing there is if you've got like fans or enthusiasts that you want to emulate. The thing about it is it's similar interest to an account's followers. So you can really get lost in the weeds here. Interests, think based on things that they retweet. So, hey, here's gaming. Let's go and see how far down the rabbit hole we can go. Board gaming, computer gaming, console gaming, gaming news, mobile gaming, and role-playing gaming. You can see that each of these have different global audience sizes. And if you want, you can look around in those other categories. Heck, you can even look at people that engaged with certain TV shows based on events. So based on conversation topics, you can even retarget people that have already seen your ad, because on average, you've got to touch somebody a couple times before they convert. So how are you going to do that so this provides an easy way to do that if you wanted to do that, or you can expand your audience and reach new people entirely. Choose where you want Twitter ads placed, if you want it on profiles, if you want it on timelines, and then you go into your creatives and you choose, hey, which of these am I going to show? You know, you've got 3 categories of tweets. Organic tweets, this is the stuff that you actually put out and just post regularly. Scheduled tweets, you can use this functionality to actually schedule some paid tweets in advance. Let's say you wanted to set up an ad campaign for a release date announcement. You can also have promoted only tweets. And this is also set in the back end here that you'd get into by just clicking create tweet. So you can choose if it's promoted, you can choose if it's scheduled, or at least you used to be able to. And you can do a lot of fun stuff. Yep, schedule right there. So use that to set up your ads just like we were talking about before. All right, let me stop sharing for a second. And Dan, do we have any questions?
There's a question right here that Jay posted in here. Do you have any advice how to meaningfully interpret reach marketing? How do you measure reach/brand awareness?
It's a great question, Jay. It depends on what your objective for the campaign is. And by that, I mean, not just, hey, what are you wanting to do, but how are you judging its success by? Like conversions, what is your conversion? Is it somebody buying? Is it somebody following? Or is it getting data and insight into the people that the ads are resonating with? One of the great things about this is if you're starting from scratch, start with a broad awareness start with an awareness campaign and lead with your best assets and see in the data where it resonates. What is the gender? What's the demographic? What's the location? You know, are there shared interests? What's the common thread between all of these? And that's how you start to piece together a lot of that demographic data and audience data that at first seems really overwhelming and daunting.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's a good answer. All right. So we got vgReleaseList. That's your company, right?
That's my company, that's my site, and that's my email address, chris@vgReleaseList. So if you've got any questions about what I've shown today, or when the best time to release your game is, or really anything else related to game marketing, I'm happy to talk.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We've got one more session. Whoop whoop. And then it's Friday. Yeah, well, it is Friday already, but then that's it. So thank you so much, Chris. Once again, it was awesome. And make sure you guys are on the Discord, discord.gg/indiegamebusiness. And we'll see you in just a couple seconds.